Welcome back to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio, podcast, and television show. I'm your host, Life Coach Marina Young, and sitting in the guest chair today is Jaime B. Haas. Jaime and I are going to be speaking on the topic, stinkin thinking, 4 ways your brain is hardwired to think negative thoughts. So if you are hardwired to think negative thoughts, and if you cannot stop yourself from thinking negative thoughts, then you need to stick around so that Jaime can give you the secrets to changing that behavior. Welcome, Jaime.
Hi, Marina. Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. Yes, I love our topic, stinkin thinking.
I'm so glad.
Yes. I work very hard to make sure that I'm thinking positive, because being in this space, I know what stinking thinking or negative thoughts can do to your whole experience. All right, guys, so let me set this up a little bit for you by giving you a short bio on Jaime. Jaime B. Haas is the founder of the Jaime B. Haas Method, a guided process that draws from spirituality, positive psychology, mindfulness, and life experiences. The method helps individuals heal from intergenerational, societal, and emotional trauma, freeing them to reconnect with their personal power, gain clarity on what they really want to achieve in life, and dismantle any deep-seated beliefs holding them back from moving forward. Her work is motivated by a painful past. At 40, she came to a place of complete surrender. Her approach is rooted in the belief that when you focus on finding the root of the pain and the related stories you're told yourself, you'll be able to change the way you see yourself and the world. Known to her clients as the soul surgeon, they say her method has helped heal wounds that no other modality, including therapy, was able to help them achieve, and finding lasting love, starting with themselves. How many of you know that, listen, if you don't self-love, you can't really love anyone else, because you can't give away what you don't have. So yes, so I'm going to enjoy my conversation with Jaime so that we can unpack some of these modalities. So Jaime, I love a good story. So you said in your bio that you came to a place of complete surrender at age 40. Love to hear your story.
Okay, let's see if I can give you the condensed version. All right. So yeah, condensed version. Just, at 40, I just ended, like 2 days before my 40th birthday. I ended an unhealthy, abusive relationship. Actually, at that point, I was like, wow, I thought like I was just settling, accepting crumbs, and just wanting to like achieve the goal of getting married, right? Because as women, that's our thing, right? Come on now, at 40, it's like you're lucky to get anyone, is what they say. So like take whatever you got, right? So it was like, but I really got to a place where I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I can't do this. And I was in an unhealthy, abusive job that I did unfulfilling, I didn't like. And my friendships were not also unhealthy. So I was a trifecta. I mean, and it was just like, and the ending of this relationship 2 days before my 40th birthday was just like, I was like, oh my God, like after all the work I had done. And honestly, I mean, I've done a lifetime of therapy. I'm in 12-step programs. I don't know if you know what that is, but like,
is that alcoholic?
Yeah. So I was sober for almost 10 years at that point, and done the work. There was a difference between and done the work and like psychics and healers and everything. And I was like, oh my God, how am I 40 still single and still like not getting what I want? Like there's something really wrong.
Wow.
And it was really a moment of clarity. Like it's not anything outside of me. Like it's no longer I'm with this unhealthy, abusive guy. I'm with this job. And I'm like, there's something within me. It's not even me. It's within me that is causing the problem. And it was just like, okay, am I going to like off myself because I just can't live like this anymore? Like I just couldn't live another year like this. Or am I going to do, or am I going to find the solution? And like something like some kind of divine guidance divine messaging came in and just says, you have to go deeper. And I was
Nice.
like, deeper? um,
Wow.
wow. And I was like, okay. So I literally spent the next 2 years like investigating, researching, doing even more stuff and spiritual and more just everything, modalities and a lot of divine guidance. And literally I came up with the solution. Like it was really divinely inspired, but through a lot of work and inspiration, I got the solution because at 44, at 44, I brought in my soulmate and I got married for the first time. Woohoo!
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yay.
Well, that is inspiring to somebody that's listening. Yes. That say, well, hey, yeah, they do say that, getting married in your 40s is like winning. Your chances are like 1 in a million, like the lottery. But people do it. People get married at 70.
Well, hold on, Myrna. This gets even better. Ready? So
What?
at 45, I got pregnant by surprise.
You're kidding
They
me.
told me I was not going to get pregnant. So I had given up on that, right?
Wow.
So like by surprise, this miracle baby, I now have a healthy son. And and then like my life on the outside started really changing because my insides were so different. And people were like, what did you do?
Wow.
And enough people around me were asking me, what did you do? That I wound up sitting down and I wrote it out. I have a workbook and a method, a process. And then from that minute I wrote that workbook, I'm telling you, people have been coming ever since. I haven't advertised. They've just been coming.
Wow. Wow. This is so interesting that I do have a couple of circle backs. Yes, we as women, I can't talk for men, but I'm almost sure they experience the same thing. But as women, we are there with this biological clock where society and ourselves, it's not even society. It is, we want to get married, we want to have children. And we do accept, I love your words, what you said, you accept crumbs because you figured that if you give of yourself and you become a people pleaser and you do everything that's, that you're supposed to do, then at least you have a man. And some things say that half a man is better than no man, or or whatever women tell themselves.
Yes.
But then what I love what you said is that you were probably doing all those things, right? You said you went to therapy, you were doing the 12-step method, which is a pretty intense method, but you were still 40 and single because the relationship ended. But before we move on, I'm very curious because almost everybody that has been in your shoes, it started with childhood. So what was your childhood like?
Oh, we're going there.
Yeah, we're going there. We can't just start
actually,
at 40.
Well, actually, this is the work I do. I take everybody back. I mean, this is like the root, the core programming is really my method, is about finding the core programming, right? So, I feel like, I'll try and give you the basis, but I was adopted, which I don't know if that feels whatever, but I was adopted. I have a younger sister. Both my parents have isms. So like
biological or
no, this is my adopted mother, but I, at 6 months old, I was adopted. So they're my parents, right? Okay. That's my parents. So they both have isms. So isms would be like food addictions, spending, sex addictions, like isms, like we call them isms. And so that my father left when I was 10 for another woman that he was cheating on my mother with, and went and moved in with her and her children. And so the beginning of the end for me, because I worshiped my father, worshiped the ground my father walked on. And so my mother was completely emotionally unavailable. I just,
Mhm.
more of her addiction started taking off. And I had a very abusive step family
Oh, wow.
that were very intent on hurting me and trying to divide my father and I, because they wanted his money. And so and then I
Okay.
have a
Right.
sister that was challenging. And so, you
Right.
know, I mean, and
You
then
took
my
all of
father,
that into your
uh,
relationships. I'm getting it. Yes, I just want to, it sounds
well,
like it's so painful for you to talk
well,
about, so we don't have to
well,
go there if
it's
you don't want to. But
no,
I
no,
wanted
no.
to get the connection, right? Mhm.
But I want to explain this, and thank you. Yeah, I mean, I feel sad for little me. You know what I mean? I feel sad for little me. I think I've done so much work around it that I talk about so many of my clients now. I don't really talk about myself as much. So it's like, oh yeah, right. But the big thing was like when my parents went apart, my mother wound up hating men, like, and had a lot of stories around men that she
Mm.
infused into me, and
Mhm.
also a lot of stuff around money and worth. And
Mm.
and at 8, my father was like, "You're just going to get married to this rich Jewish man and be taken care of. Don't have any, don't worry about you want to dance or you want to act. No, none of that's going to happen. You're just going to get married." So it was like, those are just a few of the multitude of stories and programming that I got that created 40 in the bottom.
Mm. All
40 in the
right,
bottom.
got it. So let's talk about the positive things now. So once you decided that enough is enough, and you talked about also spiritual guidance,
Mm,
because when we hit rock bottom, they're saying
mm,
that it's a good place to be because you can't go any further. You can only go up from there. So when you hit rock bottom, you spent 2 years, I think you said, two
mhm,
years figuring out why, and of course, we're jumping over it here, but what I'm understanding is that you started erasing all those negative thoughts and negative thinking and stinking thinking that was, downloaded into you by your
mhm,
mom, and all that. You didn't mention much about the adoptive thing, but um, we all know that 50% of who we are is biological, and the other
mhm,
50% is environment. So you picked up the environment part from your biological parents, but you also have some stuff from your not biological, from your adoptive parents, but you also have stuff from your biological parents. So all those things are in you, and then when we decided that we're going to do the work, then we have to start rewriting those programs.
mhm. Yes.
So I don't know if you want to go there yet, but before we go into how your method, because we're going to talk about your method in a minute.
Okay.
Let's say somebody is listening. What's not say somebody's listening? A lot of people are listening, but let's say somebody is in the same scenario or situation that you're in. They're in their 40s, and they can't seem to make it happen. How do we start by changing the stinking thinking? What is the first thing we do?
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And I just want to be clear, like, this is for men or women, because I work with a lot of men, that have maybe been divorced. Also, it's like, I really, the method, I'm just going to say this, is I go layer by layer, because
Mhm.
we can't get into the deeper stuff until we get the top layer of stuff, because it actually protects the deeper stuff. Right.
Mhm.
Just so we're clear. But, we have to go back to like the root belief systems here. Like, most of my women are very angry at men and have very specific thoughts and beliefs about men and relationships. And my men are very angry at women and have very specific experiences, thoughts, and beliefs around women. So, I'm going to start that off as the preface, And that includes myself also, right? I had all these beliefs. So it's like, to get to that, first we have to get to like, what is the top negative, limiting, fear-based thought that's going on, is how I start usually, right? Because it's like, we have to begin at the beginning.
Mhm.
So I usually start with that, and most people know what that is. Like, men are liars and cheaters, or women are all controlling. You know what I mean? Like,
You hit it right to the nail on the head, right? If we were going to characterize men, that's actually pretty good.
right? I'm just saying, like, liars and cheaters, and men feel like all women are controlling, BI, whatever.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
know,
what do
so
you think of us? Yes. Huh. Interesting. Right.
because that's a negative thought, right? Or a limiting belief, or a fear-based thought. But it's like, it's the provoking thought that's driving the ship. Because then you make all of your decisions based on how you're going to protect yourself, how you're going to react, and how you're going to behave on that one thought.
Mhm.
That's like the fascinating part, right?
Okay.
Yes.
So let's say that you think that all men are liars or cheaters, and that's because maybe your father, like you said, your father cheated on your mom, and then you experience it yourself, and maybe you have a sample of 2 or 3, but then you decide all of them are. So you're going into a relationship, you meet this person. How do you change the thinking?
Okay. So
I'm going deep.
all right. So yeah. All right. So let me see if I can break it down in a different way for you, because this is how. So if you've had the experience and you are thinking that all men are cheaters, right?
Mhm.
Then how you're coming into it is also a thing, right? Because I work on not just your thinking, but also your behaviors, because they both work in sync together, right? So it's like you're coming in protection, waiting to be cheated on and lied to, right?
Yeah.
So this is where the pattern work I do comes in, right? So you come in, and whatever the coping mechanisms, specific thinking and specific behaviors that you're doing, bring you back to the original pain. So like, you can do all of your stuff to protect yourself, blah, 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 specific thinking behaviors, but in the end, they end up lying and cheating. And you're like, oh, I knew it. How did I end up here again? Right? So I'm going to undo it.
Is that because what you think about, you bring about, or there's something else?
That's correct. Well, it is correct. Well, and this is, I'm trying to explain to you in a bigger way, and I can then unpack it in a smaller way, but I need to, because my belief system, my belief is based on, if you are in a state of woundedness, you will continue to bring in people and situations to take you back to the wound, to reaffirm the pain. Right. So, okay, that's manifesting 101, right? It's like, of course, if we keep thinking that, that's what we're going to bring in.
Right.
But it's in direct relation to not just our thinking, but how we're behaving. So how are we going to change that? So on the top line, there's like, we can go on the top line or the deep stuff. So on the top layer, it's that you're going to have to tell yourself a different story about men. First, you're going to have to start to tell yourself a different story about men. Like, there are good men in the world. Okay. There are good, honest, loyal men in the world. And I am bringing them in. I mean, that could be, all of my turnarounds are affirmations, because all the negative stuff you've been telling yourself is actually a negative affirmation. You've now actually created a way of being by affirming this belief. So now we have to unprogram and reprogram in a new way by telling yourself a new affirmation to create a new belief, to a new way of being. So, right. So there are good men in the world. There are good, honest, loyal men in the world, and I am bringing them in. So that's just the top, right? Are you with me so far?
Yep, I agree. Yeah.
Can you see?
And that's not a lie, because there are.
There are. But when we only believe that they're liars and cheaters, guess what we only bring in? That's right. All we bring in is them. So it's like, So even if it's just a little shift for right now to begin, because that opens up to the possibility of the universe, right? Opens you up. But then, at some point you have to go down into like where this came from, who this came from, what's going on there, and then what are the other thinking and behaviors you've created around this story.
Right.
So because it's once again, like I said, you at 40, the reason why after all the work I had done wasn't enough, because it was so deep and ingrained in my core being that I had to find the exact thinking and the exact behaviors and the root of it so that I could extract it once and for all.
And did you find that the root was your dad, like you told me? No, it wasn't? Okay.
It was my mom.
Okay. All right.
It was actually my mom.
Okay.
It was the specific, like, all men lie and cheat. I mean, literally at 10, she's telling me this. All they want to do is get in your pants.
Right.
Once they do, they're going to leave you.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
And so I really had a thing for men when I like to like stick it to them. Like I have other clients that were afraid of men, but I didn't. I wanted to go out and punish every man.
Okay.
I wanted to punish them so that they couldn't do it to me. I didn't get cheated on. I like hurt everybody. So like I had to do a lot of cleaning up. But based on, but it was based
before they hurt you was your attitude.
Well, right. But this is the most amazing part, which is that I built a life belief system on her pain, not mine.
Yeah.
He did that to her, not to me.
Right. Yeah, because you loved him and sounds like he was a good father even after he left to you. From what
listen, he had his faults and like he had his own stuff, but like I really loved him. And that wasn't my experience. But because I was programmed, and there are many things that I got on that level where I took on her stuff and made it my own, and then proceeded in life with her belief system, which wasn't mine. So to unpack and undo and reprogram all that stuff is deep.
Well, as you were talking, I'm trying to think about how, because my grandmother told me something that I repeat until this day. And as you were talking, I was trying to, go into my psychology and see how that has affected my behavior. But, I'll think about it after we're done our conversation. But my grandmother would say that men are like cow manure, cow shit. They're hard on the top and soft on the bottom. And I repeat that up until I was saying that up to, a couple months ago, because men always show you something and it's not who they are underneath. And I'm trying to think, I didn't go around thinking that every man that I met was like, I mean, if we're going to put it in your analysis, a liar and a cheater, because it's the same thing. If they're showing you one thing and they're totally different underneath, like cow manure, I didn't go around thinking it. I was very like my antenna was always up looking for it, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I didn't go into it like that,
yes.
But I mean, I wouldn't be blindsided. A lot of women go into these relationships and they're in it for 5 years and now they realize the man is married. That would never happen to me, because I would be looking for the behavior. You get my point?
Yes.
Comment on that. Right.
Yes. Well, and I need to add something, just PS on the side, which is that there are a lot of women that are like manipulative, dishonest, cheaters, liars, whatever. Also, so for all the men that are listening here, I just want to be clear, I'm on your side too. Like, it's not just one-sided here. Like, but it just depends on what's the story that you've been given, right? So it's like, but that manure thing is like, once again, it's not all men. It's just not, right? And it's like, until we can.
Have you heard that one before, though, by the way?
No, never.
Never. So now you can tell it to your clients.
Yeah, that's a new one.
Anyway, go ahead. Right. Mhm.
So, but it's like, because we take that into work, into business, into friendships, into
Right.
relationships with others, right? These
Mhm.
these deep-seated core program beliefs
Right.
and stories. And it's like, and it affects every area of our life. It's
Right.
so powerful.
Right.
And we
Right.
don't even know.
Right. Right. So that's good. And it's and it's good that you say that women, some women have really hurt men, but usually again it goes back to childhood. And the women that you talk about that are manipulative and hurt men, it's probably because they had to survive during their childhood, and that is their survival mechanism kind of thing. But when we're talking about hard wiring, I do think that men are hardwired to lie and cheat. So,
No, they're not. I work with so many nice men. I work with so many
no,
nice
I
men.
know, I know, I know, I know. Yes, but yeah, there. When a man falls in love and he loves a woman, a man is very nice to a woman. So, but he's got to love her.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm going to interject. I have to interject, please. I got to stick up for my men. So, all the men that I work with have really controlling, dominating, like mean, emotionally abusive mothers.
Ah,
All the men I work with, every single
okay.
one of them. And
Wow.
so they actually don't do any of the stuff we're talking about. They're actually afraid of women.
Mm,
They actually are people pleasers because I have my women are people pleasers and my men are people pleasers. They
right.
people please, which means they're totally dishonest because they're terrified of being punished like they were, right, when they were little. So
Right.
I'm saying, like, there's a lot of men out there that I've worked with that have that experience, right? So they actually really, they are terrified of women and they
Mm,
don't do any of that stuff. Do you
okay.
understand?
Well,
So I just
I have not met one of those.
okay. All right. Well, I'm opening up the universal
That's right.
infinite
Yes, yes, yes,
possibility
yes,
arena.
yes. Listen,
Okay.
there's always an exception to the rule. And like I said, yes, I do know a lot of very nice men that are very family oriented and love
Yes.
their families and love their wives, and wouldn't even think of cheating. So yes, I know those. So yes, they are definitely very, very good men who would do anything for their family. So, but that's basically what I said. I think that happens when they fall in love and they have a family. I don't know what happens when they're sowing their wild oats, or as you call it, and whatever. So that's amazing. I'm really enjoying our conversation. I love this stuff. So let's talk about psychology for a minute before we get
Mhm,
onto your method.
mhm.
You're saying that we're hardwired, and there's 4 ways that we're hardwired to think negative. So what we're talking about here is childhood experiences and maybe early adult experiences that have left you wounded. So where is the negative thinking coming in? Are you putting it back to, okay, I've had an experience and now everybody's like that, or how are
So,
we?
okay, right. Thank you for that. Okay, yes. So let me explain. So, yes, I mean, once again, my story and your story was men are cow manure and men are all liars and cheaters, right? That's a negative thought. They're not gonna fuck me and blah blah blah. And I hate men and I'm gonna whatever. Or that's one, or oh, women are controlling, whatever that is. But also there's beliefs about that my parents had around the world that I took in, right? A lot of fear, a lot of
Mhm.
negativity, even just talking about general things.
Yeah.
Oh, money's hard to come by, or, all rich people are blah, blah, blah. They may be little things, but we take them as a child. And like what our parents say is like rote. It's like, it's powerful, right? And the
Mhm.
more they say it, the more it programs into us, the more we start telling the story, the more then the negativity comes in. Both uh, myself and all of my clients come from a very negative programming family.
Mhm.
So, like, there was a lot of like negative, fear based thinking going on. So, if you come from that, of course, you're going to be programmed for that. Like, it's not, we don't see the glass half full, we see the glass half empty with everything, right?
Mhm.
So that's another way, right?
Right.
And it could be around people, it could be around money, it could be around working, it could be around relationships, whatever it is. Like I have a lot of that stuff. And so do my clients around all facets of like, negative thinking. Right.
Okay.
So
All right.
that, and also go ahead. Yes.
No, go ahead. And so, well, what I was thinking along the lines is that, let's say that, let's keep this on the subject matter. So your parents were had all the isms, let's use your terminology, and then you go and you, while you were in school or something, you met, you had a really nice guy that did everything for you. But my husband would tell me that his first girlfriend, he bought her all her clothes and he did all these nice things for her, but then he went on and found women after that really wounded him. So I'm thinking that we never remember the good ones, but we always concentrate on the negative experiences. I thought that's
Yes.
what you're going to say, because that to me is that why we're hardwired to think of the negative. The negative is what plays most of the time, but we never think of the good experiences.
Absolutely.
Right.
Listen, our positive programming has helped us get what we want, and our negative programming is keeping us from what we want. But that negative programming, and I don't know, I mean, I don't have any psychological understanding of why we are more prone to latch on to and stay focused on the negative.
Right.
But it is
That
true.
happens.
It is
Right.
true.
Mhm.
And you're exactly right with what you're saying. Exactly right with what you're saying. And it's really fascinating, right? Because it's like there could be all this good, but it's like the minute there's something bad, right?
Right.
We're like, that's everything. That colors everything. And it drives the ship.
Yep, it does. It does. It does. And that's why, we actually are hardwired for that, because it's like, even on social media or anything, even at your job, when I was in the corporate world, they would say you're only as good as your last thing. You work for years and you do all this good stuff, and then you do one bad stuff, and then they fire you for it because they never remember all the good things you do. Because in all life, everybody's only, we're actually are hardwired to only think about the negative things, and we never really talk about the positive things. So, all right, so you have created this method that you call it by your name, the Jaime Haas method. And you said it has helped women heal their wounds and achieve lasting love. So do you want to dive deep into that now? You've given us the fluff around it. You want to talk about your method?
So not just women, though. I want to be clear.
Right,
Men
right.
and women. I help
Men and women,
everybody.
right. Okay.
I help everybody heal.
Okay. All right.
I love everybody. Okay. So today I do. So what I've come to find is that based on this, core programming and negative thinking, in the root of the problem, it's a lack of self-love and a disconnection from self, right? And no connection. It's a lack of self-love and trying to get our well-being from the outside. So like our love and validation and well-being from the outside. So the first part of the journey is learning how to love yourself, really. Right? Because once we love ourselves, like truly love ourselves, we can allow in more love, we can receive more, and we can give more, right? Because until we do that, we're also fractured. And so all the relationships we bring in are going to be fractured, right? I call it emotionally unavailable. Like we're emotionally unavailable because we're not even there for ourselves because we don't love ourselves. So, that is actually the beginning of the journey. I don't, tell you that right away because everybody would be like, well, I don't want to get into a thing where I have to love myself. Like, what is that about? You know what I mean? Like, I just want to fix the problem and like move it along, right?
I love that. I love that. Right. Yeah,
But
but I started the show by saying that if you can't love yourself, you can't be in a love relationship, because you can't give away what you don't have. That's very profound. So if
exactly
you don't
right.
love yourself, then you're doomed. You have to learn to love yourself, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Right.
And so what I've also found is that there's not one thing that fixes the problem. It's actually what I do is a concoction of a multitude of things, when done all together, create the secret sauce. And so, in the getting in the self-love and starting to create a connection with the universe and yourself, and then reprogramming and changing your thinking and your behaviors, well, the more that magnet within you shifts and changes, the more what you start to bring in shifts and changes. And like all of your relationships become more loving. The people and situations you're involved in become more aligned with who you are inside. And then you're bringing in that person that perfectly aligns with you, who you are now. Right. But we have to evolve and change first so that we can change inside, shift and change inside to match up and align with that which we are actually calling in and desiring.
Right. Okay. So so that's the first layer, self-love. You want to talk about any other layers?
Okay. Yes. So, well, that's a component that's being done all the time. Learning, because I actually have 10 actions to help us get to self-love and connection, because I've found that there's actually actions that need to be done. It's not just like, oh, yay, I love myself today. You know what I mean? It's like there's things to build that up within you, as well as we're going to change your thinking and your behaviors. But also what I do in my method is that when we do the patterns with your parents, I go back to mom and dad, specifically 3 patterns per parent. Each parent, we do a letter of healing. It's really the letter of acceptance and healing, so that when we do that, that actually, remember in the beginning, I said to you, if you're in a state of woundedness, you will bring in, right. So if we heal the wound, we are no longer attracted to or attracting that. So, right, we do that. The last person we do is yourself, and then we begin to manifest. And it's just, but we have to heal, clear, reprogram, and change everything, and love ourselves and get a connection with the universe, so that we can really be this vessel, this huge magnet of magics, so to speak, of love and healing. And then we start aligning with and bringing in. We are not chasing, going after, figuring it out. People and situations start coming to you.
Yeah. Well, it's part of the law of attraction. Like thoughts, when you are in a negative space, then you're attracting negative to you, because that is basically what's the alignment, like attract like. So once you start loving yourself and going from love, and maybe even gratitude, because that's powerful as well, then you start attracting. And I like what you said in your story, that once you changed your thinking and your stinking thinking, and maybe understand clarity that you were living your mom's life, then you talked about 40 years you've been trying and it didn't work, and then in 4 years you met your soulmates, and then you got pregnant, because again, fertility is all based on, it's a very complicated thing.
Yes.
It's all based on how you feel, and you can't really, get pregnant if your biology is all messed up inside. You know what I mean?
Yes,
right?
That's correct.
Right. So I am, I'm loving that part, and I believe that's basically true. So so do you want to talk about how, when we heal our wounds, how we begin to attract the relationship of our dreams?
Yes, I just wanted to add one more thing to the stinking thinking.
Right.
Hardwired. So usually when we're in that place, we actually surround ourselves with people who are also in negative thinking, who are also talking that way, who are reaffirming that even if we're not talking about it, they're talking about it, right? So we've carried it from our childhood into the present day. So it's like, and then we're watching like the news and finding the negative things, or we're watching certain things, or reading a lot of things, or being around people and going to situations that where it's all this pervasive negative talk. And so it feels like, yeah, I mean, this is just the way it is, right?
Yeah.
Right. Because everybody's
they're looking for validation for their thinking.
Yes.
Yes, it's true. Which is why I don't listen to the news. And a lot of people, say not to listen to the news. I'm thinking,
Yes.
I turn it on for a few minutes and I'm thinking like, what is the purpose of hearing all these people shoot each other and all the bad things? Like, why do I need to know that?
No, absolutely. And so I just want to say for like listeners, like, deep work would be great, but like, if you just want to get started right away, like, it's just about starting to change the top line thinking, even shift it into opposite positive. And then when people around you start talking negatively, it's really important to like, just say, wow, I see it like this, or maybe this could be possible, or like disengage, or maybe leave. You know what I mean? So it's like because you have to protect yourself, right? You have to start protecting it because it's very infectious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's very infectious.
You got to protect what comes in. I agree. I agree. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm sorry. The question you asked me.
Right. Well, what we're talking about here, we're talking about a couple of things. We're talking about wounding from our childhood and from our early relationships, how it's affecting us today, presently, right? But we're branching off about not only how it's affecting us, but we also want to have, healthy love relationships. So my question is, how, after you help your clients change their thinking, how do you help them to find their love relationships, other than maybe the fact that they're attracting someone better because they're thinking in a different way? Is there something that you can share to someone that's listening that would help them to start attracting the relationship that they're looking for?
Sure. Love to. Okay. Absolutely. I love. Okay. Anyway, so, another piece to some of this is also communication. So I just want to be clear. It's also wrapped into my method of like changing the way we're speaking to ourselves and speaking to others. So I just want to be clear. That's another thing. So, you got to deal with the anger and the negative thinking and whatever. But I like to have my clients create a list of like what they want that person to be like. But it starts off with the insides. The list starts off with how do we want them to be on the inside. But before we even get to that, I'll tell you this secret. This is the biggest secret, right? Okay. I make them write down. I'll just give it to you because I like giving right now. And all your peeps is that what we do first is make the top 5 or 6. What are the not negotiables? And the not negotiables are everything that was the problem in all the last relationships that's rooted from the childhood, right? So it's like, if we bring in emotionally unavailable, so we would write down emotionally unavailable, like abusive, like unhealthy, like cheater, whatever it is, like the top 6 that you've experienced that are really rooted from the childhood stuff, we write that down first, and then we turn it around. And then we turn it around into the positive. So emotionally available and present, right? Loyal and honest. Like what we turn it around, and then and those 6 are the not negotiables, which means that if someone comes in and they have the whole list, but they've got one of these 6, they're out. Right. Because it's a guarantee you're going to go right back into the pattern. Back in. Right. That's good. That's so good. It starts off. So that's like the crucial piece. And then we go from the insides to the outsides to commonalities. So it's like, and then I have them read it for 30 days every night. And then whatever on the list they are not, they have to become. They have to work on within themselves, right? Because if we're the magnet If we're the magnet, those qualities that we want, if we don't have, we can't align with. It's not necessarily like if I want like a man that's going to buy me, blah, blah, blah. It's like, then you have to be generous of heart.
Yes, yes,
Then you have to be
yes,
generous of
yes,
heart.
yes,
Do you know what I
yes.
mean? Or so by reading it every night for 30 days, what happens is that your internal wiring is now connected to what he feels like, what she feels like. You're not going to identify them by how they look. You're going to
Right.
identify them by how they feel, because you're going to connect on a soul level.
Right. That's
And
that's
Mhm.
actually pretty good. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
Yeah. I don't mess around here. So
But again,
That's right.
you know, when anybody is talking, I'm running things by internally, and I know that my problems in relationships past is because I always get caught up in the physical. And basically what you just said, how many women go around talking they want tall, dark, and handsome, and they go around and they're looking for the physical, but they're not looking on the internal. So when you're saying that, I'm thinking, when I say that's pretty good, that is pretty good, because you're bypassing what the person looks like, right? And you're going to the inside. And you know, that's exactly what happened to me. I've been, you know, when I first met my husband, he wasn't what I was looking for as far as the outside, but I saw his heart and I saw his
Mhm.
inside. You know what I mean? And that's what I fell in love with. But
Mhm.
yeah, he wasn't tall and dark. He was dark, but he was certainly not tall.
Yeah.
He's built like a linebacker. And I looked
Yeah.
at that and I said, that's not the type of man I look for. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah, I
But
understand.
yes, but so yes, so that prevents women from being caught up in the sexuality of it, and then it takes them right back into this same spiral things, right?
And I just want to reiterate, we are connecting on a soul level,
Right.
the
Right.
soul level, because
Yes.
that is like divine. That's the
Yes,
divine,
yes, yes.
right?
That's why they call you the soul surgeon. Got
That's
it.
right. Well, and also that I'm ripping out from your guts these old patterns and pains and wounds. But yeah, that's why.
All right, Miss Soul Surgeon here. Okay, awesome. All right. Okay, so we're coming to the end. So quickly, tell us. I understand that you're also writing a book. So the Jamie Haas method is I'm assuming it's a course, but you're also writing a book. And do you want to talk about your book and
Yeah.
what inspired the topic, and then you can tell us how our listeners can get in contact with you.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I'm working on a book right now. It's actually on that self-love stuff,
Okay.
actually, because my method will come later. The reason being is that anyone can do this. And if you do it for 30 days, it changes your life immediately.
Wow.
So
That's a
that
good
I
promise.
wanted to get the fastest way of healing out to everybody and anybody that could get it now. Because I've had people just do it for like 10 days and like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe it. So I wanted to get this out first, really explain the 10 foundational actions, or the actions to self-love and connection. I'm not sure what we're calling it yet. Obviously,
Okay.
probably not. That's not appealing, but it is the magic sauce
Okay.
to really start to shift the inside, which is what we're all looking for, right? And create self-love. So yeah, that's that. And then the next book will probably be my method.
Okay.
But like I said, the world's in a lot of pain right now, in a lot of hurt. And I really want to be part of the solution of healing. So I wanted to get something out that's not as big, that's a not faster fix, but yeah, faster fix to be able to help people right now, immediately.
Okay. All right. So when is the book going to be out?
Not sure yet. Working on it. Not
right,
sure.
So they just have to keep checking on you on your website and social media. So give us your website and your social media handle so they can follow you and know when your book is out.
Okay, great. I love that. So my website is Jaime B. Haas. That's Jaime, B as in boy, Haas, HAAS.com. And my Instagram is Jaime B. Haas also. And my Facebook is Jaime B. Haas. And also my YouTube is Jaime B. Haas, but my name is spelled Jaime. It's B as in boy and then HAAS. And for all the listeners, if you go to my website, there is a free download. It is we call it the 5 habits, but it's actually the beginning of the self-love actions. And you can get the first 5. You can go there and get it and start now. And you can go into my Instagram or whatever, watch some of my videos. All my content is to offer solutions and help to get some relief right now.
That's beautiful. It's beautiful. Yes, like talking to you, I know that your method works because you hit all, you hit all the points. You hit all the points. And I'm glad that I took back to your childhood because I know personally that's where everything starts. So yeah, so this was a very interesting conversation. I loved it. We had fun. We had a good time. And we shared some really, really good points regarding changing our stinking thinking and working from self-love to turn around our thinking that all men are a certain way or all women are a certain way. Right. No, that if you think that way, that's exactly what you're going to attract. And yes, there's so much that would say that it's true that whatever you think about, you bring about, whatever you think of constantly is what you're going to attract. I mean, it's yes. And people might think that you're going to do an affirmation and it will change. But when you're saying the affirmation, if you don't believe it, it's not going to work. So what Jaime is teaching you to do is how to change it systematically, maybe one day at a time. And then you would have what she's got, which is, a healthy relationship and a beautiful baby boy.
And an amazing business with clients I love.
That's right. And an amazing business. Let's not forget that. Yeah. And she said she didn't even advertise because she's doing so well that everybody keeps word of mouth advertising is the best one. But now she's on a radio, podcast, and television shows. So she's getting it out there.
That's right.
All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you so much for tuning in to the Transform Your Mind to Transform Your Life radio, podcast, and television show. I enjoy bringing great guests like Jaime to you and talking about conversations that would help you transform your life by first transforming your mind. And this is a perfect topic because what are we talking about? We're talking about negative thinking. We're talking about changing from the same old patterns and going on to having successful, healthy relationships and lives. So Jaime, thank you very much. I actually enjoyed our conversation. Before we wrap up, any last words for the listeners?
Well, first, I just want to thank you so much for having me. You're a doll and a joy. So thank you. And, I just want them to know that it's like, you can start off small. If like going deep feels very overwhelming, which I know it does for some people, you can just start off small. You can go and get my free download. You can just start writing out like, what are some of these negative thoughts and start to turn them around right now. Because the minute you start to do that, you've already been starting to walk into the change. And that's the gift you give to yourself.
Yes. Another way to put that is once you've identified the problem, you've already started on the solution, because a lot of times we go around not knowing what the problem is. And once we have clarity, it is the first step. So that is very true. I second that. All right. Well, listen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're listening to this on iTunes, I would love for you to subscribe and rate and review the show. And other than that, I will see you back here next week, same time, for another episode of, I'm almost want to say 5-Minute Fridays, right? For another episode of the Transform Your Mind, Transform Your Life radio, podcast, and television show. Until then, namaste.